So, welcome everyone to this webinar, or it's also called sometimes a virtual brief, which I think is a very interesting term. And today we're going to talk about something that's not yet there, which is 6G, and it's foreseen by 2030. So we talk about a 5-year frame. And the good thing about that is that we can make some choices along the way, and that the choices that we make today are going to have consequences. So this is today from the project 6G4Society. It's an SNS JU project, and it's specifically aimed to work on societal, environmental, and economic values. And the idea is that we hope to embed these values as much as possible in the design and development and adoption of 6G. Letta, can you, thank you. We aim to do this by generating better understanding and shared knowledge, trying to have some say in some sort of a unified consensus of frameworks based on values and based on ethics-driven approaches. The project has been very focused on citizen workshops and citizen questionnaire, and trying to get insights from a public that is not yet actually knowing what the technology is all about. So this is quite a challenge. And if you can give me the next slide. So we foresee and we hope that we can have a growing awareness and fostering an ethical, sustainable, and widely accepted technological development, ensuring societal, environmental, economic benefits for all. This, of course, is a very ambitious goal, a very ambitious project, and this will only be made real. This will only be made possible if the ecosystems that are working in the different member states and at the level of the European Commission and the SNS JU have an incredible not only amount but also quality of interaction and integration. And this is only possible if the ecosystems in these member states are able to carry the weight of all these ambitions. And that's why we're very happy and honored to have 3 people in the webinar and in the room today that have built such an advanced ecosystem that it may actually be able to make good on all these ambitions and promises, and that's still going to take an enormous amount of work. So we're very happy to have Otto Vaino and Pekka Rantala from Finland, and Paul Wijngaard from the Dutch FNS network ecosystem, to talk about how they actually managed to build such advanced ecosystems. So for our first speaker is Otto Vaino. So Otto, please maybe briefly introduce yourself, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Rob, and good afternoon, everybody. As Rob already mentioned, my name is Otto Vainio, and I'm the national contact point for Horizon Europe Cluster for Digital, as well as the Digital Europe program here in Finland. So basically, my area of expertise covers things digital in the European Union scale. Of course, looking at the ecosystem here in Finland. So for the next 10 minutes, I'd just like to ensure that my slides are visible. Could you kindly confirm that?
Absolutely.
Wonderful, great. So I'm going to talk about what it actually takes to create a successful ecosystem, looking at the context of Finland, given our key learnings over the time span of the last couple of years, and look into the future years ahead of us. Very glad to have the opportunity here. So, first of all, looking at the key aspects, the bits and pieces of the Finnish 6G ecosystem. Well, as many of you already might know, we actually have built the key R&D capacities over the past. Remember in GSM, where Nokia was essentially a very key player, and of course our national domain, our national ecosystem, the entire society actually absorbed the novel technologies very quickly. And we also had many supportive organizations that were helping out together with Nokia to actually deploy the future networks of that day, uh, back in those days. Of course, I mean, these strengths and capabilities have not gone anywhere. We still have them, and we're looking forward to deploying them to power our future as well. In Finland, overall, national strengths in this domain, I mean, they do not only touch upon network technologies, but also adjacent technologies such as, wireless communications, artificial intelligence, software, electronics, including microelectronics, cloud edge provisions and services, etc. And of course, if we bring this to the context of today, or the most recent wave of mobile networks, Finland actually was the first country to launch a national research program for 6G, which took place in 2018. And we also established the first test network for 6G among all the countries in the world. What has been successful in Finland thus far, and how have we been able to facilitate the development thus far? I think one of the key reasons here is that we have been able to combine early stage funding through bottom up programs funded by Business Finland, the organization I'm also representing here, um, so as to build national capabilities with I would say, niche areas in different sectors and different parts of the layer and architecture of 6G technologies, and combining that with the multilateral and EU funding programs to focus more on the standardization, development, further advancement of the dominant designs in this technology field. What is also very characteristic of the Finnish ecosystem is that our academia actually has been very active in developing next generation network solutions together with our industries, our businesses, the private sector overall, and of course the government is there to, provide different use cases such as critical communications, ports, maritime technology, etc. Um, and of course, if you look at how Finland also is, I would say, performing when it comes to technological and digital advancement as a country. We're a highly digitalized society, and of course, that if you look at the DESI, so the Digital Economy and Society Index, year after year, we're very happy to be high on the ranks, which of course then creates demand and absorption among our use cases, the so-called demand side, such as societal and industrial use cases for these technologies, including 6G, and of course the uh, preceding technologies in future communications. And of course, I mean, through Nokia, through our research and development collaborations, through other collaborations we have had, there has been plenty of international exposure through joint research projects, funding undertakings, and of course, broader knowledge sharing in the, I wouldn't say state level, but in the right institutional level. One key example would be the Hexa Eggs projects, where Finland has had a leading role in looking into the standards and technological choices of the forthcoming technologies within 6G. And on the right-hand side of my slide, you see some key figures and facts and stats about the ecosystem. So the 6G Bridge program, which Pekka will tell you more about going forward, that is basically facilitating the R&D collaboration among the demand side, that being the industrial and societal use cases, together with the technology providers in this area, including different parts of the technology stack and different layers. Now, then we have the 6G flagship program focusing on the research part of 6G and future network technologies. And we're happy to look into the numbers where we have over 500 academic partners, over 400 businesses, and more than 70 countries involved in this action. And then you can see some figures about the investment we have undertaken to this domain as a country, but also the volume of funding we have gained through international programs to Finland. I must note here, however, it's not only about funding, but also what is actually achieved by those projects. Where I just wanted to, give you a picture of the volume to show you how big of a thing is that, how big of an endeavor the 6G technologies actually are for a country such as Finland, which, however, is a very small country for that matter. Now we'll look at the key milestones thus far and the way forward. What has happened thus far? So we have seen some good remarks from within the infrastructure side. So the FURI research infrastructure has been awarded nationally the prestigious lighthouse status by the Research Council of Finland, the former Academy of Finland, that is. And it has been nominated as one of the most critical research infrastructures in Finland through the next 3 years. So, I mean, we're still remaining very high on the infrastructure side, looking to invest in that going forward as well. And why is this actually critical is that, it actually helps us creating research and development and the way forward towards sub-terahertz frequencies, which helps us develop 6G networks that are capable of delivering unprecedented speed and low latency, which are the key promises that 6G basically says to deliver. As a country, we also have published a national roadmap in June just this year. And if you look at that roadmap, what we're striving for as a country is obviously, keys, things that are pretty much synergistic with what 6G4Society aims to do as well. We're very highly focusing on sustainable development, covering energy efficiency. Of course, we want to contribute to international standards when it comes to 6G. We want to ensure facilitating regulation and frequency availability to support the development and early implementation of these services within 6G spectrum, so to say. And of course, we want to enhance the built-in safety and security of the technologies and regulation thereof. Now we look at the international dimension of the Finnish ecosystem. Already up to date, we have had a lot of international collaboration with through Horizon Europe program and especially the SNS, so the Smart Networks and Services Joint Undertaking. So the key program for 6G development and obviously 5G advanced thereof as well. On top of that, we have had several actions, both in the institutional level as well as through R&D projects within the bilateral and multilateral dimension beyond Europe. So looking especially at United States, Korea, and then Japan. So we've been very active collaborating with these countries in several domains and levels. Of course, we're contributing to, standards relevant to 6G and 5G advanced development as well. Now, of course, 6G is very topical as to standardization. We're just getting there now. So several exercises we are contributing to are there. And of course, when it comes to international collaboration, we're happy to collaborate with you going forward as well. So if you have any questions, you see our email addresses on the right-hand side of this slide, and we'll be very happy to take all of your answers and questions. Not answers. We'll be happy to take all of your questions and endeavors forward with myself and Pekka, who will be speaking with you shortly. So thank you very much for the opportunity and looking forward to hearing more about the exercises here.
Thank you very much, Otto. And as we will sort of take these questions together after all the presentations and have a discussion, I think we go now to Paul Wijngaard from the Dutch FNS network ecosystem. Paul, it's all yours, and I think you have to unmute, and then you can
Thanks for that. Yeah, okay. If everything's okay, you can see my slides.
Yes, we see.
Good. Yeah, so good afternoon, and thanks, Rob, for the opportunity to share a bit on what we do in the Netherlands in terms of 6G. So it starts with a big title, creating a leading position for the Netherlands in 6G. So each country has its ambition. So we're following Finland in this. So I'm the Alliance Director of the SNS program, actually one of the founding fathers of the program, and I'm going to talk you through what we're doing in the Netherlands. So these were the questions given. Talk a bit about the strategic understanding, share how we scoped the program, how we did it all bring together. So in my 10 minutes, I will try to answer many of these questions. Well, let's start with how it started. So this was an initiative taken by TNO, the Dutch research organization. And actually, we started with the position paper. So we spent a lot of time and a large part of it during the COVID period in doing a lot of webinars and finding out, what are the challenges in terms of communication infrastructure, what is the ecosystem, who has which agenda, and in the end try to find a sort of a national theme where we should give priority to. And that as a starting point, shared with the Ministry of Economic Affairs, in the end leaded to funding of a large program. And on the right side, you see a grant, 315 million total project size. So we have now a national program developing 6G, and it's funded by the National Growth Fund. It's at that time there was a COVID recovery fund to get us out of the crisis of COVID, which in the end, of course, was not that severe. But the fund was created, and you could use that funding to fund this program. So it's a program, the total size for 6 years, 350 million. Actually, it's a bit more than 200 million euro subsidy, and there's a lot of co-financing, of course. So how did we start? So the program is built actually on 3 pillars. So on one hand, like Finland has Nokia, we have a very strong semicon base in the Netherlands. So it's companies like ASML and NXP, and a huge ecosystem around those companies driving chip technology. So that is the first fundament on which we build our program, and chip technology links to radio networks. So antenna technology with massive MIMO. There's a huge challenge there in terms of energy, in terms of the sizing things. So that is the first pillar of our program. I talk a little bit more on what we do there, but with that industry, it drives our innovation roadmap in the first area. The second area is related to computer systems and the whole AI and digital twinning as you get it into the network. So there's a large base of expertise at universities, which is driving the second pillar of our program. And so in the program there, we develop the intelligence in the core network and the interface into applications. And applications links actually to the third one, and for Finland it's the same. So the Netherlands and Finland are, I think, in the top 5 of high ranked in the DAISY index. So we have very mature digital society, and the digital adoption is very high. So that enables, so companies are interested to use this technology. So in the program, on one hand, we develop the technology, and the third pillar is really large companies using the technology. So we brought that together in a program, and we built the program on actually 3 pathways. So we got the money from the Dutch government to drive economical growth. So economical growth in technology and also in the adoption of technology in the end should lead to GDP growth. That's the task we got from the government. But the second and the third pathway are also important. The strategic pathway, at that time, it was really focused when we wrote the program on reducing the society vulnerability. But But well, with nowadays, strategic autonomy is a much wider topic than it was a couple of years ago. So that is the second pillar. And the third one is all about sustainability. So driving new technology innovation should be based on less energy consumption. So that is a big driver for our technology innovation. So these three pathways we follow in the program. And it was bringing together the full ecosystem. So here in this map, it shows all the players more or less. From the left side, the semicon industry, hardware, software vendors. On the top side is more the government and universities, knowledge institute, standardization, operators, system integrators. So this is the whole ecosystem. And on the right side, of course, the companies using network services. So it was a large puzzle to find all the relevant stakeholders in the Netherlands with whom we together built the program. And we built, and here you see an overview of companies who are now involved. And a bit more than half is Dutch. If there is not a Dutch company supporting a particular area, then it's European, with one or two exemptions when it's not European, some companies from the US. But this is the ecosystem, and this is what we do. So this is an overview of program lines and work packages in which all these companies work together in terms of developing intelligent components, intelligent networks. On the right side, the applications, and there are 5 work packages defined in terms of supporting the ecosystem. So it's developing technology, using the application, and the support is also very important because a national test bed is required in which you test the technology and bring it to the market. The same for standardization. You can develop technology, create IP, but if it doesn't land in standards and you don't get standard essential patents, there is no value. So in work package 4.2, we support the companies in terms of getting things into 3GPP. Then, for example, strengthening ecosystem, there's the third one is we support startups and scale-ups. So if a PhD student vests patents, wants to start a company, those initiatives you need to support. So there is an initiative in program line 4 to help those companies grow. Same for human capital. So all companies need staffing. So there's a whole initiative to support extra attention for the right staffing. And last but not least, in program line 4, we have policies and regulations. So this is a work package that deals with sharing the research we do with the government to make sure that the government is early informed about where technology goes, and so that they're able to come up with the right policies. And a good simple example is, of course, the spectrum. Spectrum is auctioned, so well-informed government on developments of which frequency bands will come to the market, and spectrum sharing, for example, is also a topic which needs regulation, but also in the area of AI and all sorts of upcoming regulation there. It's alignment between what we understand in terms of technology development and what the government requires. So that's program line 4. Yeah, the other program lines talk for itself. So it's technology development and applications. And it works together also between the program lines. So for example, if you take software antennas, so it's really hardware side that works with intelligence in the network to support an application, because the application, for example, a drone needs to have an interfacing with an operator, and the operator has JCAS information. So the JCAS comes from the antenna through the core network, through an interface to an application of, in this particular area, for example, a drone delivery. So that's how we try to organize and link initiatives together to create the value. One slide on how we run the program. So a list of KPIs. So in the end, of course, we want to have economical value, but these are measures in which we look on a quarterly basis. Are we on track in terms of publications, in terms of patents, in terms of prototypes. So give you a bit of a feel how we run the program on a quarterly basis. Yeah, and this is my last slide. So it's a large group of people, and roughly now to 500 people more or less involved from 60, no, close to 70 companies now, working together on defined scope. So that's the Future Network Services program from the Netherlands.
Oh. Yeah. Well, of course, I'm a bit biased because I'm Dutch, but I can say this is quite impressive. And I think I would, after Pekka has spoken, I maybe would like to go back also to this slide where you show the ecosystem with the relations in between, because I think that's that's an important slide that shows the amount of different skills that you actually need to make this work, to actually. So please, Pekka, maybe you would like to start, and after that we have a discussion. Yeah.
Thank you, Rob. So I'm trying to figure out the. So do you see my slide?
Yes.
Correctly?
Yes, we have it.
As a full screen or kind of a.
It's full screen. Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Rob. So good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here. My name is Pekka Rantala. I'm heading a program in Finland, which is called 6G Bridge, which is kind of the bridge term in the name is kind of representing a kind of a bridge between 5G and 6G. So we are focusing on 5G and 6G, kind of early first version of standardization related to 6G, but at the end they all come together. So I'm going to provide you some slides how the kind of the key organizations here in Finland are kind of stratified, and two slides about who is who in Finland regarding 5G, 6G, so who is doing what, and kind of a glimpse of my program's portfolio and lessons learned, how to make or how to foster the ecosystems to work together, and so kind of lessons learned or kind of perspectives of my own, not a kind of a Business Finland official, but anyways. So this is the slide who is who in Finland regarding three key organizations or coalitions. So the first of all, already 2018, the Research Council of Finland has funded the kind of flagship project, research project, which is called 6G Flagship, which is orchestrated by University of Oulu in Finland. So it's a kind of 8-year program and about 300 million euros of committed funding towards basic research. And 6G Finland is a kind of a hand-picked organizations, a kind of a portfolio of hand-picked organizations representing the kind of thought leaders, kind of from a research side, and of course the thought leaders from the company side. So we are trying to kind of make a kind of a really agile kind of a coalition of names. So what kind of Finland could do and should do together, regardless of the fact that whether it's related to basic research or more like a use-inspired research or applied research, or maybe related to resilience. So it's a kind of a tribe or coalition. And maybe last but not least, 6G Bridge is the program operating underneath at Business Finland. So we have 130 million euros of committed funding for customer projects, and this is the kind of the vehicle to connect the research organizations and the industry together. So it's not a kind of a easy task to do. So we are trying to do our best, and so these are the kind of the top three kind of names if you Google 6G and Finland. So this is the one another way of assessing who is who in Finland. So if the kind of question is related more or less towards business and technology. So typically the ministry in charge of that is Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment, but the who is kind of under that business and technology sector, so 6G Bridge program at Business Finland and 6G Finland, the industry coalition. So those two, if I have to kind of pick a few who is who, so those two would present the business and technology side, and the science side would be, if I had to pick one organization, so it's a project, key flagship project, it would be 6G flagship operated by University of Oulu. Of course, there are plenty of others, but if I have to pick one. And of course, the spectrum sharing, licensing, test licenses, and those are granted by the more or less orchestrated by Ministry of Transport and Communications, and there are already existing kind of a industry focused kind of a quite a big group of professionals. So that kind of a tribe, it's not a club, but not that maybe tribe is called 5G Momentum. Kind of there's a kind of a specific web pages and the newsletter and so forth related to that, how to utilize 5G maybe, and to, in the future 5G plus technologies. So it's kind of an info sharing platform. So maybe as Otto already mentioned, so we in Finland do have a quite vast of capabilities how to move from radio system research to end customer. So actually the device of utilizing 5G, 6G. So this is kind of alpha or beta version now. So who is who in Finland regarding research organizations? Maybe handpicked ones, the most usual suspects ones, but regarding industry. So Nokia is all over the place in this first slide. But anyways, when we are moving from radio system research to standardization and actual products and services, and then the supply chain and network industry players, and then the who is planning or deploying those networks. Those are few operators, Elisa, Telia, and DNA, and of course the industry organizations as well. And as we have this non-terrestrial networking as a key part of 5G advanced and forthcoming 6G, so they are Reorbit, kind of a new space economy related company as well. Here's mentioned. So as an example, and then we are moving from the radio research system forward to the end customer. So they are key teleoperators here in Finland, and then application and service development, and towards the end customer. So this is one way to look at the who is who in Finland regarding industry, the most prominent players. So we have about 35, maybe 40 projects. I don't know the exact number, and worth of 80 million euros. So I have tried my best to come up with one slide covering all those projects. So there could be one or several projects under one kind of a box underneath. So, but anyways, I have tried to kind of make it quite easy to kind of to read. So I have highlighted those. We have specifically projects related to maritime, healthcare, energy, for example, and autonomous vehicles. And on the bottom right-hand corner, we do have 6G Test Network Finland project as well, which is building on top of the was it FUVIRI project, what the Research Council of Finland has funded. But anyways, we have two test kind of a research infrastructure and a test infrastructure here in Finland, which is supporting the R&I actions. So kind of I would like to kind of mention a few lessons learned kind of as a from programs point of view, how to make ecosystemic work kind of or how to enhance the ecosystemic work, how to make it better. So kind of key findings during my kind of journey in the past 3 years. So it's very important to find the single point of contact, so names, persons, representing the key customers and stakeholders, and with whom to share ideas. So we are not interested in organizations, we are interested in professionals who are representing their organizations that we can, and in order to have those joint discussions, workshops, and collaboration. So of course it pays, it's worth paying attention to listening to customers, and often that requires not the Zoom or Teams meetings, but face-to-face interaction and time to visit customers, and time to organize events where people have kind of quite kind of are feeling free to share their ideas, for example, while having a cup of coffee. And of course, it's important to share, organize kind of regular meetings, and in order to have that kind of interaction in place, there has to be one or two organizations that have the operational budget to organize those, in order to thought leaders to convene together and came up with new ideas or project ideas. And of course, the info dissemination is very important. We do have our, for example, our National Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda launched 22. It's that link is in the chat, and of course utilize the power of LinkedIn. And but the key single point of contacts, they have more or less in practice, they are the champion of those organizations, and of course you have to be your champion yourself. If there's a way to, for example, to test or initiate some kind of new, bold, unproven collaboration pathways, both nationally and internationally, especially internationally, and that the kind of the agility, so wrapping the new opportunities on the fly, if the RR, so that means risk-reward ratio is justified, and all international collaboration, it takes months or maybe up to 2 years to come up with a kind of a new bold collaboration possible to concretize that. So it takes time. So that leads to kind of one final bullet point. Please say yes whenever possible to, for example, to Paul, have a meeting, to listen to what kind of idea the team has, customers, and for example, Otto and you, all in order to figure out new ideas for future projects together. So that is my personal kind of lessons learned. So that is my slides, the last slide. So thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Pekka. Can you go back to this last slide?
Yes.
That you have? Because I think it's really fantastic, and it's also it's very important and vital, because we've been the project 6G4Society. We've been looking at member states. We've been also talking to NCPs, and we've been trying to not formally look at Europe, because that's not something that we could do. It's also not our goal, but to try to indeed try to get between this formal and informal kind of layer, because it cannot be too informal, because then, but it cannot be too formal, because so and that's actually how we came to find you and the Finnish ecosystem, and Paul and the Dutch ecosystem, because the advancement is not only on a technological level,
Yeah.
is also, I think, very much, as you say, on a people level. So
Yeah.
and it's also, I think, moving away a little bit from the normal kind of technology development that we have seen. For example, if we try to go back in our heads to a slide of Paul where you saw the relations, and that you actually have the ecosystem from the chip to the end user, and new and applications and verticals, and that are actually meant to make business, because that's indeed one of the key things. So, Paul, if you look at this slide from Pekka, do you see some points that you think, yes, that
Yeah, I think so. So in terms of exchanging between the national programs, I think this is a good initiative you're organizing, Rob. We also have the SNS co-op, so that's coordination between national programs. I think, which is a good initiative. It's a platform to share what we do. I think also what is good is the events. So the EU CNC, really, I encourage all the people in the Netherlands who have something to say, go there and make sure that you're on a panel, in a presentation, that you, if you're a PhD, go with your poster there or whatever, to show what you have. And actually, if all countries get together at EU CNC, or we might organize, EU CNC is very much supported by SNS. But there's also a Techritory in Riga. It's an event where a lot of people come together. Or Mobile World Congress. It's a bit different. It's a bit more commercial. But at those events, I think there are huge opportunities to get together and share and build new bridges between the national initiatives. So I think events is a big thing. The online meetings is a big way of getting together. And last but not least, I also believe in businesses. So in our program, companies are developing a product, and they are looking for partnerships only in areas where it's relevant. So you don't have to manage that. If a company is developing a product, and I think we have a very nice example in the Netherlands, a company called ASML. But what is the success of ASML? It's partnerships. So there are hundreds of companies with whom they work together. So there it's a business, the company called ASML, driving collaboration. And it's not a program supporting it. No, it's a company doing it. And I think we see it more that companies try to build partnership with other companies outside of their country to strengthen that ecosystem. So on one hand, that the companies do it, and we facilitate with webinars, with conferences. And I think that's how, in the end, we get to a better European result.
Yeah, I think, and then in your ecosystem, I think the academic partners also have play a strong role, because if you look at your relationships, is also important that good research has a much faster pace of becoming actionable at some point. Is no longer the paper that's only presented at these paper conferences and things, but it's more, like Pekka says, it's more agile. Sort of research has become
Yeah, so what because we're actually moving to a second phase of the program, and so what we're going to do there, because the TRL level was low and we're getting to a slightly higher TRL level, that all research always needs to have a sponsor in business. And so we appointed actually business value managers, and they are now in the discussion with all the researchers, with a simple question. Find that you're developing something, but what is the market, and where, in which products will your technology end up, and how big is that market, and who are the players in that market, and who's the competition, and by enforcing these questions to research, of course the researchers get a bit it's getting a bit uncomfortable because they're saying, hey, this is nice research, but by bringing in this debate and helping them, and also bring them businesses into the research, that's the driver we bring in the program to create value, because research on itself is nothing if it doesn't end up in the product.
I think, and then if you look at your three basic drivers, like the economic, the sovereignty, which also is quite new, I think, as you say, sort of this European kind of sovereignty, also in the ecosystem is to choose European companies, and then sustainability and energy efficiency. Sort of these are, I would say, the main drivers. So Otto, maybe you would like to reflect on or say something about what your colleague Pekka said, and Paul.
Sure, absolutely. I think all the points are very relevant, and if you look at, as mentioned in the previous takes, I think it's not only top down, it's not only institutional when it comes to this research and development pathways. So, I mean, if you would only go with the formal way, as you put it, then we would not end very far. But if you look at, let's say, ORAN or different parts of the technology layer that could become relevant in 6Gs as well, that is also developed bottom up to most extent. And therefore, I think the key knowledge of the people, different organizations, and of course, then the bottom-up programs become very relevant. And that is something that's going to converge once the technology gets a little bit more mature. If you look at, what is happening now in the Netherlands, what is happening in Finland as well, we also have a similar pattern or a system when it comes to engaging the research ecosystem together with the businesses. So we actually are, when it comes to applied research programs that Business Finland nationally funds, we actually ask for sponsorships, if not that, at least endorsements from the industry side, so as to bring together the industry, or the demand side, as we call it, to the potential supply side when it comes to even the lower TRL stages. So yeah, absolutely, fully agree with what's been said before. Now looking at the bullet points Becca is sharing, what else could I? Yeah, I mean, we have, over the course of this year, we have had several international interactions with different programs. And as Becca was mentioning, it takes a lot of time and commitment from both parties. So ourselves as the counterpart to actually bring these into action. However, we must note that combining the bottom-up approaches, that being, bringing together the right people, the right type of knowledge, the right type of ecosystems, and utilizing the relevant facilities and pathways we already have, such as the SNS Joint Undertaking, Horizon Europe in general, Cluster 4, or then the Celtic Next under the Eureka program. There are already a lot of opportunities where we can actually develop tangible collaboration, even though we wouldn't establish another entity to actually facilitate our work. So I think overall it's about the people, and I think it's very good to have initiatives such as the 6G4Society to bring us people together to actually discuss the forthcoming opportunities between our ecosystems. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Pekka, would you like to say something about maybe what Paul was saying, or yeah?
Yeah, I concur with Paul. So one thing that is not mentioned here, which is not maybe I could maybe stop sharing, but anyways, what is happening right now in Finland and in Europe, and so we are putting a a lot of effort towards resilience in 5G Advanced and 6G, because we have a war in Europe, and there are a lot of GPS jamming and other disruptions made by some countries, but they are not by accident. So anyways, how to prepare, because the connectivity is the kind of a foundation for moving data, and that therefore data analysis and AI. So if there's no connectivity and energy grid in place, or energy source in place, so modern society will collapse within a few hours. So hospitals or maybe logistics, they are out of order quite soon. And but anyways, we do have a lot of effort towards resilience, and we are organizing a conference in November in Oulu, focusing on that. And earlier this month we shared some thoughts under the SNS JU co-op webinar series, so kind of a Finnish view on 6G resilience. So it's a very broad topic and very difficult one, because nobody actually has kind of a predetermined KPIs. What kind of KPIs, concrete numbers, are related to resilience, and the 2030 6G kind of vision, globally vision towards resilience. It's so narrow. So we are putting a lot of effort on that as well. So just to mention, but not forgetting sustainability and the people, and of course the companies' healthy, profitable environment. But yes, but that is kind of one thing I would like to add here.
Yeah, no, I think it's very important. And actually, Paul has a PhD student, or the FNS has a PhD student, Aaron van Diepen, and he's working around what our project is also working on, key value indicators. So we have KPIs and we have key value indicators. And his first key value indicator is resilience, and that's maybe, and well, I think what your neighbor Sweden has now this concept of total defense, in which they bring civic and military kind of resilience together, with strong programs also for citizens. But I think your point on the resilience of connectivity is tremendously important. And although there are apps that work without the internet, if the internet doesn't work, so you can find new forms of communication. These types of communication maybe should also be somehow in the network. But Paul, because we also have the EDF, the European Defence Fund.
Yes.
And do you see that as also a partner in thinking about resilience and 6G for?
If that question is to me, yes, definitely. So yes, definitely. So there's kind of a defense layer, and kind of a more or less a resilience layer is funded by Business Finland or maybe SNS JU or something. But anyways, the kind of pure defense part is funded by EDF. So we do have several projects going on.
There's big requests for dual use technology, so not proprietary but dual use. And so in a sense, whatever we develop in terms of dual use, because they also want to use a lot of common off the shelf equipment, because it comes in high volume available, and then you only have to do an extra layer on top of it to make it hardened enough for defense purposes. But the thing is, because our program is very much tailored to business and to drive those businesses to innovation, and in the end, businesses develop technology and sell it to the market. And the defense sector is one area of market. And if it's dual use technology, well, then they can sell it to defense and sell it to private companies.
Yes.
So in a way, it is integrated in the program, but not in our case, not yet as a specific task.
Neither do we. So we don't have a specific task. So we listen to the customers if there's a need. So then we will try to support them. Yes.
I think I'm still coming back to your slide, but that's
okay.
I don't have
sorry.
to. No, but I think it's very important that you mention time and that you mention dissemination, because well, in the work packages, that structure that we all know, dissemination and communication is work package 7 or work package 8. And it's not always seen as an integral activity into the structure of the project and the structure of the process of the structure of formation of technology. And so I was really, and I think that's really, it's really important to talk about the more invisible aspects of how such ecosystems occur. That we have some people that make space, but of course, if you make space, somebody steps into that space and thinks, it's a nice space. It's like it's always been there.
Yeah.
But like you said, it takes incredible amount of time and collaboration and interaction to literally create that space. And that's also a skill. And as a skill, I think it was undervalued. And as a skill, I think what you both, the three of you show in your presentations, that skill comes back, which is this kind of organization that is in between the formal and this informal aspect. So maybe the SNS JU should throw a party at some point, and, and that would be a good idea. So I think we're nearing the end of this virtual brief, and I'd like to ask you all if you have one more word of advice for the audience. Because we're now with 28 member states, we've been looking at a lot of member states, also in Central Europe, and we still see a lot of development of technological development running alongside academic development, not talking to each other, but running alongside a tremendous amount of SMEs that are also very difficult to relate to. And you've managed to bring this together.
Yeah, I think so. So one thing is the field labs. I think so we will. It's more or less the foundation is ready for our field labs. I think in terms of understanding how other countries work and execute the field labs, and so our field labs are an area for companies to test and work with 6G or now 5G, beyond 5G technology, to see how they can improve their processes, their organization, their whatever they would like to do with communication network infrastructure, and so to drive the adaptation of the technology. So that is how you can get to a full digital society, by helping the early innovators to use the technology. And I think it would be good to share learnings, how you involve SMEs and but also other companies in using technology. But then again, so we're doing it, and we're happy to share that and also learn how other countries do that. But that, I think the SNS Ops is also trying to coordinate those kind of activities. So for me, it doesn't matter who's coordinating as long as it starts happening, and we do share our learnings.
Thank you. Pekka?
Well, maybe I kind of the first thing, this is people business, so you have to know personally, for example, Rob, you or Paul or some other representing the organization, because then it's easier to have a face-to-face talk or meeting or workshop or around something. But anyways, in order to be kind of successful, you have to give a chance. You have to have a chance to, for example, to join this webinar, have a meeting with Paul, for example. And you have to have networks in place in order to have utilize them, and you have to prepare yourself. Kind of you have to have this the prepared mind in place. So chance, networks, and the prepared mind, then amazing things would happen, and it will happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're writing that down. That's Otto, please.
Thank you very much indeed. A very fruitful conversation. I wrote down 3 remarks basically for now. So basically what we need to do, obviously, is to bridge the gap between supply and demand. And this happens through infrastructure and facilities, including resourcing, financing, etc. So, I mean, once we actually make the convergence happen, we'll actually develop, as Paul was putting in his remarks, we'll do research and develop novel technologies that are actually relevant for businesses and can, yield future business. Number 2, we need to lower the threshold as well, especially for SMEs and companies as such. And what this requires are these informal ecosystems. So, looking at how to actually facilitate the development and understanding the context of these players and what they actually need. It's not necessarily even about the technology, it's rather about the need, and then finding the right solution to that need, which then boils down to different technologies that can be part of 6G. It can be part of other technologies, obviously, as well. But 6G is definitely a way forward for several smaller businesses as well, democratizing a lot of different technological applications. Now, then the third point I wrote down, covering the latter part of the conversation, is that resilience actually is sustainability. Or to put it the other way around, you don't really have sustainability without resilience. So that is something we need to bear in mind as well. If we want to be sustainable in the longer run from a holistic perspective, they would need to have resilience networks, resilience infrastructure, resilience software and hardware. So there is no sustainability without resilience.
Yeah. Well, I think on this note, we end this webinar. So thank you very much for joining. I think this was very insightful, and we will we take notes and we'll write a short piece about it, and we'll make sure that the webinar gets shown in various places. So it's going to lead a life of its own. I want to thank Aletta de Cruz for for creating the space, basically. So very difficult, and been working in the back end of this webinar. And so with this, I want to thank you very much, and we conclude this webinar.